Hello peeps and welcome to Sundays with Sparky. How's it going? As you can see, my hair is starting to grow back a little bit from last week. Not very much, but it has a little. But I think I'm going to keep it short for a while because I've had long hair for years and years. So I think I'm going to keep it short for a while. I think I might try out some stuff. So movies and video games. I mean, that's what we're here for. This is what we do on Sundays with Sparky. So if you watched last week, you will know that I bought The Hangover Part 3, which I have right here, which I watched Sunday, I think it was. I watched that. And to be completely honest, I was disappointed. Because technically there's no hangover involved. So there's that for a start. It just felt like it was made for the sake of being made and making some money. I didn't think it was anywhere near as funny or inventive or original as the previous two films. Which is sad because it could have been great. It could have been amazing, but it was really lacking, in my opinion. And yeah, the characters didn't really develop anymore. I mean, Alan's character developed a bit, but I found that the bits that I found the most funny and most amusing were the bits that I'd seen in the trailers. So yeah, disappointing indeed. And if that's the last movie in the series, then I wouldn't bother with it. I'd watch the first two, and yeah, wouldn't bother with the third one. So yeah, so I watched that, and because as you know, I like to try and link people from one movie to another. And in that movie, there was a guy who was like the bad guy, I guess, of the movie, who was played by John Goodman. So I was like, what other movies have I got that John Goodman's in? I mean, I could have picked like Bradley Cooper or someone else. But I thought, well, John Goodman's been in a bunch of stuff. I'll try and think of something that he's been in. I remembered that he was in a film called Fallen with Denzel Washington, which is about a serial killer that Denzel Washington's character, who's a detective, he catches him and he gets sent to the... it's not an electric chair, but he gets executed. It's like some kind of gas stuff anyway. And then he starts getting investigating murders that are essentially the same. They're like copycats, and there's a few plot twists and stuff, and it's a little bit supernatural. It's a very good movie. I've loved this movie since the first time I saw it, and yeah, if you like kind of slightly spooky, well, not really spooky, but supernatural or paranormal type movies and detective crime thriller type movies, then you'll probably enjoy that. I like it. So watch that. Now the next one doesn't link in at all that I can think of, but it was necessary for me to watch because of what I went to see on Wednesday at the cinema. So on Tuesday night, I watched 300. Because on Wednesday, I went to the cinema and I went to see 300 Rise of an Empire. Not 301, as I thought it was going to be called. This movie, 300, is fantastic. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. It's a bit gory and a bit bloodthirsty, so if you're not really into that sort of thing, then maybe you might want to give it a miss. But I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. 300 Rise of an Empire, however, was a bit of a waste of time. I'm not really sure why they thought they should make it, but it certainly wasn't anywhere near as good as this. Whether it was because the main characters wasn't as strong or what, I really don't know. I mean, it could have been good, but it just felt a bit... I mean, the whole point of the main character was like, well, if 300 Spartans can hold off this army, then we can do something similar. And that's like a metaphor for the whole movie, basically. It's like, if 300 can be that successful, then maybe we can do something as similar. But they didn't. It wasn't anywhere near as good. For a start, there seemed to be like a bucket load more blood, like literally bucket loads more of blood, like fake blood. And I'm like, where is all this blood coming from exactly? I mean, there was quite a lot in 300, but it didn't look like it was over the top. Like, it didn't look like someone would stab somebody and then somebody else would chuck a bucket of blood. Because that's essentially what it was looking like. Someone would get like a slight scrape across there and they'd go, oh no, I've been cut. And they would just be like, it's like, what? Really? It was far-fetched, and it just looked like it was made for the purpose of making money. It wasn't a good story, it wasn't interesting, it wasn't particularly original. They tried to mix it up by having it most of the combat on ships in the sea, but it wasn't really that interesting. So then I was like, well, who can I link 300 from 300? Who can I link from to watch another movie? And I forgot quite how many people that are actually in this. Because obviously you got Gerard Butler. I mean, everyone knows that Gerard Butler was in that. This is Sparta. And you got Lena Headey. And David Wenham as well, who's in this. He's the guy with, if you've seen this before, he's the guy with that has one eye. He gets his eye thing. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of people. But what I didn't realise was that Michael Fassbender's in it. It was only once I was watching it back again, I was like, oh yeah, it's Michael Fassbender. I completely forgot that he was in it. So I was like, well, what can I watch that's got Michael Fassbender in it? I was like, let's kind of IMDb him and find out what he's been in. So I came up with this, Haywire. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, because it didn't seem like that long ago that I watched this. This has got a fantastic cast, right? And I don't think it did all that well, and I'm really disappointed because I thought it was a really good movie. And I think it's mainly just because Gina Carano, who is the main lead actor, actress, whatever you want to say, I think it's just because she's not very well known. But I think she does she's really good in an action role. I think she was in one of the Fast and Furious 6. I think she was in that recently. But the cast, you've got Michael Fassbender, Ewan McGregor, Bill Paxton, Channing Tatum, Antonio Banderas, and Michael Douglas. And it's like, where else are you going to see, a lineup? You're not going to see a lineup of that many good actors in a movie very often. And I just thought it was really good. And I thought, for an action movie that has a female lead, which is, there's not many of them about, and the ones that are usually a bit either rubbish or far-fetched. This actually felt a bit more believable. Because, Gina Carano is, she does like MMA and the female equivalent of UFC or something, I think. you know, she's a tough lady. She is a tough lady. So you can kind of believe her going toe to toe with some of these guys, and actually, like, you know, getting in fisticuffs with them. You can kind of believe that because of who she is. If, however, say for example, what was that film? Colombiana, which had Zoe Saldana in it. Zoe Saldana she's a beautiful woman, and I love her, the movies that she's been in, and I enjoyed Colombiana, but I couldn't believe any of the fight scenes where she's fighting against guys, because there's hardly anything of her. Whereas, you know, Gina Carano looks like she could, if she punched you, you would probably fall to your knees and say, "Please don't hurt me anymore." You know? So, yeah. Anyway, so if you haven't seen Haywire and you fancy watching a good action movie with a female lead, then you should definitely watch this, because it's fantastic. And underrated, in my opinion. So then I went from that. I was like, well, there's a lot of people in that movie that I could get links from. Who am I going to go from? And I thought, well, I wonder if I've got any movies with Channing Tatum in other than 21 Jump Street that I could watch. And so IMDb, it's good for that. Excuse me. And I came up with Public Enemies. And you're like, I don't remember Channing Tatum in Public Enemies. That's because he was in it for 2 minutes, I think, maybe 3 minutes. And he plays a character that you only see the back of him for most of the screen time, because he's running through a field, and then he gets shot. And it's only once the person that shoots him catches up with him, and he's lying on his back, that he actually realises that it's even him. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's that then. But he was in it. He had screen time, not very long, but he had screen time in it. So yeah, it's the main actors: Johnny Depp, Christian Bale, and Marion. I'm not sure how to pronounce it because it's French. I'm not sure if it's Cotillard or Cotillard or whatever, but her. Anyway, so yeah, so it's about John Dillinger and the rise of the FBI and all that kind of stuff. Set in the 1930s, and it's very good, very good. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but they've used some footage taken from the 1930s and kind of recreated the scene. I think the famous scene is where John Dillinger is being brought in by plane to somewhere, I forget, I think it's Indiana, and the old footage is of all the press standing round in the dark waiting for him, and they've got a few cars with their headlights on, and they've got flares so that the cameras are rolling so they can actually have some light to see what's going on as he gets off the plane. And they recreated that in the movie, and they actually used some of the old footage with the stuff that they shot to look like it, and I thought that was really clever and a really nice touch. So yeah, so if you haven't seen Public Enemies and you like that sort of 1930s bank robber type, cops and robbers type thing, then Public Enemies is a good one to go for. Where I'm going to go from Public Enemies, I don't know, because Public Enemies has got quite a good cast as well. And obviously, Johnny Depp and Christian Bale have been in an entire thing, so I can go crazy with that. So, yeah, that's me movies. Games. I have played some Plague Inc. because we saw a video on that on Monday. I love that game. I think it's great fun. and I'm probably going to put some more out tomorrow, hopefully, provided I can get everything else edited and rendered that I need to. Yeah, I really enjoyed playing that. We did the bacteria. I think the virus is the next one, so that should be quite interesting. We had the very first one-off Wednesday this week, which was pretty cool, which was Assassin's Creed. So if you haven't seen that, then you should go and watch that, because I spent ages editing that video. I had like an hour and 10 minutes of raw gameplay footage that I managed to edit down into under 15 minutes, plus putting other stuff in and learning how to do certain things, edits, and trying to find music. Just trying to find music for the very first 10 seconds was just an absolute nightmare, and I think it probably took at least an hour just trying to find one piece of music that I thought that I hadn't really heard before, that I thought I could use, and oh man, what a nightmare that was. So yeah, if you haven't seen, if there's any video that you're going to watch today or any time in the next like day or two, then watch that one, for God's sake, because it took me ages to get it how I wanted it. And then obviously we had Saints Row, which technically what you saw on Friday on Saints Row was recorded like about a week or so ago, so before I had my haircut. But I have played more of that this week in preparation for the coming weeks. So that's that. I've also been playing some Hearthstone, because that's changed recently. They've made, I think it's actually gone live now. I think it's actually like properly been released after the months and months and months of it being in beta. So you can play that now. You don't have to sign up to beta or anything like that. You just need a Battle.net account and off you go. So check that out, and if you haven't already, because you might like it. As I say, it has changed quite a lot since the first few videos I put out. There's been quite a lot of patches and stuff, and some of the cards have changed. But they've got new animations on some of the cards that you put out, which is quite fun. They've got new animations for when you disenchant cards, which is nice. You know, they've just kind of polished everything up a little bit. I think they were just making sure that most of the bugs were fixed before they started putting all the little fancy bits and pieces in, which is cool, which is very cool. And they're going to put new backs for cards, and they're going to give us golden hero animations, so your little portrait at the bottom can be animated slightly and sparkly and stuff, which is kind of cool. And if you win 3 games, you get a new steed, new mount in World of Warcraft. So yeah, I've played a tiny bit of World of Warcraft this week, but it's not really worth mentioning. And what else? Oh yeah, the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. I always want to say the Epic Quest for Mighty Loot, but it's not. Yeah, I played a bit of that as well this week. I was finding that my dungeon, my castle that I'd built was absolutely terrible, so I spent a good portion of time trying to make it better. So I pretty much just demolished the whole thing and started again, and now it's actually pretty good, to a point where I have to like attempt to beat it, because once you built or made changes to your dungeon, you have to then be able to beat it yourself before it can go live. Yeah, so every time I add like something new to it, I'm like, am I actually going to be able to beat this now? Oops. And yeah, so that's been quite interesting, but I'm finding that I keep maxing out some of my my resources to a point where I'm like, well, I can't do anything with it yet because I need to level this up so that I can then research this, and yeah. But yeah, I'm having fun with that. That's pretty fun. I may even do a video on it soon. I know I said that before, but I've been trying to think of what I might do a video of one-off Wednesday for next week. I think it might be that. Right, cool. Well, I've probably spoken for far too long already, so I'm going to go, and I shall see you again next week. Remember to stay tuned for upcoming videos, and I'll see you later. Alright, bye-bye.